combat. The name says it all. I'm Hakeem
Rob,
and today we're going to recap UFC 172, which happened this past Saturday, April 26th. Featured Jon Jones defending his light heavyweight strap against Glover Teixeira. Also featured Anthony Johnson and Phil Davis, and Luke Rockhold and Tim Boetsch. They had some other good fights on that card, some great stoppages. It was a pretty good card and all, but we only covered those 3 fights that I mentioned, so those are 3 fights we're going to talk about. We're going to start with Luke Rockhold versus Tim Boetsch, which didn't last long at all. Go ahead, Rob.
Now, we thought that Luke Rockhold was going to kick his face off. Real talk. But we also mentioned in the last video that he was an expert jiu-jitsu practitioner, which came into play in this fight.
Oh yeah.
As Tim Boetsch went for the takedown, if I'm not mistaken, and he got balled up for his troubles. Rap.
Yeah. Excuse me. We thought Tim Boetsch's best chances were to be on the ground, and I think he thought so too, because as soon as the fight started, he went for a takedown. Unfortunately, that jiu-jitsu that we talked about took over, and Boetsch had no chance at all. I mean, he got locked in a reverse triangle, moved over to the side of the cage, worked over, and then Kimura, and it was over in like 2 minutes.
I blinked. I almost missed it.
Yeah, so that is a big statement for Luke Rockhold. I mean, he just knocked out Costa Philippou with the body kick. He's former Strikeforce champion. He's already beaten Tim Kennedy and Jacare, who I think both are rated above him in the UFC rankings.
I don't know how, but okay.
I mean, we already know that those really aren't worth much anyway. But what I don't understand is him calling out Michael Bisping, of all people. I can understand the Vitor one, because Vitor did kick his face off.
True.
So I can understand him wanting to get that back. But the Michael Bisping, like...
Was Michael Bisping talking cash shit before, during this fight, or after this fight, or before this fight?
They've had some kind of disagreement, but really, like, I'm not gonna, like...
Not Bisping.
Like, when you are in line to fight for a title, like, you know what? Shut up. Just give him the big brother mush. Just get out of here. I'll deal with you later.
Is Bisping still in the UFC?
Yeah, he just got beat by Tim Kennedy like 2-3 weeks ago. And got dominated pretty much. He just got put on the ground and worked over. But like I said, why would he call him out? I guess they really have a serious bone to pick with each other. We'll let them settle that.
It's whatever. Moving on.
Yes. Phil Davis and Anthony Johnson. Now, when we talked about this fight, we said if Phil Davis couldn't take him down, he was going to lose. Phil Davis scored 0 takedowns.
Tried his best, though.
He tried his damnedest. Guess who won that fight?
Anthony Rob Johnson.
Exactly. And he handled Phil Davis. I mean, he was knocking him around the octagon, landed some very powerful shots. He had some very good defense because Phil Davis is a pretty explosive guy. I think he got caught with a couple Superman punches, but that was really it.
But we also talked about how athletic and strong Anthony Johnson was. To be honest, after seeing Glover Teixeira and a lot of... He might be the strongest combatant at 205.
You are probably right.
Because he was throwing guys around at heavyweight.
Yeah.
And these were not small heavyweights.
Right. Like, we're talking about a guy who we talked about in the preview video, went from 170 to 185 to heavyweight, back down to light heavyweight. I mean, the guy, and he's knocked out people at every weight. So this guy is a true powerhouse, a truly strong guy, and
experienced. Very experienced. He's only lost 4 fights, 2 early in his career. One to Josh Koscheck, but again, that was at a lower weight, which was not his best weight. And he lost to... There's one more fight that I cannot remember at this moment. But I believe it was at a lower weight.
Yeah. So, whether he's ready or not for Jon Jones, that remains to be seen. They'll probably put him in 1 or 2 other fights before he gets that shot, because there's quite a line waiting to fight Jon Jones. Speaking of which, let's move on to the main event, which had Jon Jones versus Glover Teixeira for the said 205-pound title. Now, since the start of this show, and I have been trying to tell you guys that Glover Teixeira was a problem.
And he is a problem.
Except not for John Jones.
That's right.
John Jones made him look like a chump. I mean, he completely dismantled him early, landed often, stuffed all the takedowns, got some takedowns himself. I mean, a very, very, very offense. I mean, he hit this guy with everything. I've never seen somebody land an axe kick that was not in an action movie. And he did it twice. That's something to be said.
Not to mention that he throws elbows like a jab.
Yeah.
Not to mention that he's probably the only guy in the UFC that I've seen dip down to his right and his left and throw an elbow uppercut. I'm pretty sure that's not what it's called, but that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, his offense was everywhere, and it almost seemed like he couldn't miss. One very strategic thing he did that I liked was that he grabbed Teixeira and he started cranking on him real early, and it actually dislocated his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people are going to fuss and cry about that, but it's really no different than somebody snapping your arm in the armbar. I mean, you're in a fight, you try to get the advantage. It actually worked this time. You see people doing it all the time. This time it just worked. One thing that was kind of a problem was him sticking his hand out in Teixeira's face. Now, it's not against the rules. It's frowned upon because of the multiple eye pokes that he did end up doing.
Right.
But that's up to Teixeira to stop that. If the ref is not telling him to stop it, then Teixeira's got to stop it. And he had no answer for not only that, but he had no answer for anything.
And the fact that John Jones has an 84-inch wingspan, which means he had that jab pumping. And I was very surprised because he took full advantage of his length.
Yeah.
He either holding it out, coming in with the elbows, which are very quick strikes.
Yeah.
Holding his hand out, throwing a jab. And he worked the jab. It was almost like he was only using his left for maybe the first 3 rounds when it came to punching. Yeah. Then he started releasing the right hand little by little, and he couldn't miss. He actually knocked Teixeira's mouthpiece out twice.
Yeah.
And another thing that I liked was he was actually in Glover Teixeira's wheelhouse in the clinch. And while they were trading, Glover Teixeira did throw some good punches. He did land on John Jones. But to get him to that clinch, he looked like the stronger man. When he wrenched his arms toward the end of the fight, you could see him underhook and drive Teixeira to the cage. And at that point, it's kind of dangerous for him, but even more dangerous for his opponent because he's probably the best in the UFC at striking with the elbows from the clinch. It was a thing of beauty. Whatever strategy he had worked, he probably used A, B, C, and D on Glover Teixeira just cause.
Yeah.
I mean,
he was probably making it up as he went. He was like, I wonder if this move will work. Like, I saw this on Street Fighter one time. Let me give it a try. That really looked like what he was doing in there.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah. Next up for him is everyone's favorite nemesis of John Jones, Alexander Gustafsson. As we all know, they had a very close fight, which was a win for John Jones. A lot of people disagree with it. A lot of people agree with it. So they got to do it again. This is going to be John Jones' first rematch in a fight that no one really gave Gustafsson a chance. So he did better than everybody thought he would. Mm-hmm. And some people kind of took that and ran a little bit too far with it. But he gets his chance at redemption. But seeing as how he looked against Jimmy Manuwa and how John Jones looked against Glover Teixeira, it's not looking good for our boy Gustafsson.
No.
But that's why they got to fight the fight. So he might be able to come in there and do something, but it's looking like the way that Jones has grown as a fighter, he's probably going to win this one a lot easier than he did the first time.
Handily.
Yeah. But like I said, they got to fight first. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen and for these guys to finally give this guy some props to say he's a good fighter, whether he wins or not. And not be like, oh, I told you, blah, 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 blah. No, you didn't. because he still beat 5 UFC champions.
That's right.
He still got a long win streak. The guy, you got to give him his props. He's good. So just give him his props. He's good.
He has one loss.
By DQ.
He was dominating that fight. Come on now, man.
So, yeah, I mean, just...
Appreciate the skill.
Right. Appreciate the skill. But if someone does beat him, appreciate that guy even more, because that, to beat somebody that is shown this type of skill in the octagon, that guy's pretty damn good. So we gotta praise them both if he loses. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. All our mixed martial arts fans out there, if you like this video, make sure you like it. Make sure you share it. Leave a comment down below what you think. Hit us up in our email, capitalcombat@gmail.com, Facebook Capital Combat, Google Plus Capital Combat, and we'll catch you in the next video. Peace.
This is round 1 and you've already lost. They don't seem to see that everything we've done is come at a cost. My fists are on fire, I perform till I perspire. My demons are in a rage, keep thinking that it's a game. I kick crime, hurricane, I told them I don't play, I'm liquid.
Black Street Fighter.